start the show. The Good Life with Mikey. It's Nicole. Welcome to the Good Life.
You are now listening to the Good Life Podcast.
Good Life. Good Life. These boys are crazy.
You are now listening to the Good Life Podcast.
Good Life. What?
Hey, welcome to the Good Life Podcast. My name is David Taylor.
Yo, it's Spicoli. What's poppin'? We're talking with Mikey of Islander. What's good, man?
What up, dudes? Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Listen to that South Carolina accent. I got best friends out in Charleston, South Carolina. So when I hear you talk, I'm like, oh, it reminds me of the good life. Warm weather, beaches, ocean.
It's real humid right now. I don't know what's going on today. I mean, it's usually humid, but like today is just like extra hot. So it's kind of funny though, going to the grocery store and you see all the Halloween stuff out, but it's hot outside. You're like, man.
So, are you Gamecocks or Clemson?
I don't care.
Oh, okay,
I've
good.
always, the way
Cool.
I've
That
always
works for
told
me.
People, I like the Gamecocks colors better, but I don't care. I like the burgundy looking colors. Cool.
There you go. Did I notice the hair is gone? Did you shave it off?
No, I didn't like buzz. It's just I had it bleached, so it's kind of growing back a little bit. But it's bleached blonde,
there we go.
like white. And I mean, I used to have dreads. That's probably what you're thinking about
Right.
too. I used to have
Yeah.
But no, I've got rid of that for a little bit. So.
Yeah, don't sleep on this band out of South Carolina, Mikey. If you're rocking with Deftones, Korn, P.O.D, Islander is in that club. First off, let's talk about how much this new song rips, Serpents and Daggers, dude. What did Corey Taylor of Slipknot say about it?
He said a bad word. I don't know if my mom will let me say that one, but I'm just playing. But no, he said it's a banger, dude. He said it's a banger, and I just couldn't be more grateful. You know, he's written a lot of bangers with Slipknot and the such. So it's just cool, you know, having people we grew up listening to enjoy our tunes.
Dude, so I was out at a festival this past weekend doing podcasts with bands and stuff, and Spicoli hit me up, and he's like, hey, I got our next guest coming on. Check out this new song they got out. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. So I was driving home and put it on, dude, and I was just like, oh, my goodness, dude. Like, the last time I felt that is when I heard Bad Omen's new album. Like, that was the last time I was like, dude, this is metal as hell. I love it, dude. It's so good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Our whole new record is more in that vein. We're no longer on a label, so we get to do what we want to, and there's nobody to say, hey, turn the guitars down or make sure you're not screaming too much. We're just like, you know what, let's do the things that we love, and those are the things people fell in love about us, you know. So it's like, why would we change that? Well, that's what we like to do. So we're back to that.
Not to talk about your old record label too much or anything, man, but I read that you got to work with a producer of like two of my favorite bands, which is Alkaline Trio and Silverstein. They produced one of your albums, huh?
Cameron Webb.
Yeah.
He is an amazing producer. He did our first two records. He's cool because he always says, I believe punk rock can still change the world. And he says that maybe that's what's holding me back sometimes, but he said he can't let go of that because, you know, he's had plenty of opportunities to, you know, do certain things with certain artists or bring in co-writers or whatever. And he's not about that. He's like, let's see what a band sounds like when they're just being the band that they are. You know, it's like my brother's our bass player, and he always says, what's up with all these people like writing songs for these bands or labels, like letting people write songs for him? He always says, just let them suck. Like, let's let people suck so that we can weed out who's really the artist here. I mean, it's a blunt way to put it, but it's just the truth.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. That's interesting. I was like, yeah, like weed out the ones that suck, let the talent shine, and go from there.
Yeah. Don't get the same five people. And again, I'm not trying to hate on everybody or anything. It's just I think we've been in this game for a minute long enough to see, you know, kind of what money can do as far as when labels get behind a band or whatever, and we're like, wow, like,
oh yeah,
I know that such and such isn't writing their own music, but I'm not going to go put them on blast everywhere. But at the same time, it makes you want to, because they're being called artists, and it's like, well, I'm an artist, and I'm over here struggling and suffering and letting the art come out that way. And I don't know, it's just, I don't want somebody sitting in the studio with me telling me what I'm going to say in a song. You know how I don't think the fans want that either. If they knew about it, they would be like, I don't want to listen to that.
Mikey, let's have a one-off after this podcast. I'm interested to know who doesn't write their own songs now.
Yeah, you'd always be surprised. I've been in radio for 20-plus years, and when people are like, yeah, I wrote this song for so-and-so, I'm like, wait, you wrote that and the artist didn't? It always catches you by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, I would say the majority of bands don't write their own music.
Stop it.
I hate to break everybody's hearts. Yeah, dude, I hate to break everybody's hearts.
I know like pop artists and like R&B artists do it, but I didn't know like rock music, that was a thing.
Brother.
Dude.
Scully knows.
It's like I just found Santa Claus wasn't real.
He's being political over there. But
I don't want to be political. I don't, but you know what? When I heard your song Sushi, I knew you were upset. You were like, dude, you're like, I'm a real artist. I write my own songs, and all these rappers are like getting all these people, and they're getting all the money. And I was like, oh, he's fired up, dude. Is that what kind of inspired that song?
Yeah. The main thing that inspired that song actually goes back to rock and roll. We were on Mayhem Festival. That was our first big like mainstream festival kind of like tour experience, and that was with Korn and Avenged Sevenfold and stuff. And that's how Korn discovered us to take us out on a few of their tours. But we were sitting in catering one morning. We got there really early, and we usually didn't get there early because we drive ourselves, and we still drive ourselves. But there was like breakfast going on, and so we went and sat down at breakfast. And I'm not going to say who the band was, but they were sitting there eating their breakfast, and they started complaining about. One of the guys started complaining about how cold their bus got that night. He's like, dude, our bus, he was like, I was freezing, and he was sitting there saying all this stuff, and we, an Islander, were sitting there touring in a van with no AC and living in our van. We hadn't showered in like 8 days at that point, and just to hear somebody complain that their bus got a little too chilly, it was just, it just kind of showed me, like, wow, like these people, a lot of them have like lost that passion, or maybe they never had it or what, but I wasn't even complaining about the showers and stuff. So when I heard people saying, you know, stuff like they were too cold, it's like, put on a sweater, dude. Like, be grateful you don't have to drive yourself.
Right.
That sounds like the people that let people write their music for them right there. That's what it sounds like to me. We'll have a one-off after this podcast to find out what band that was as well.
I feel like Islander, underrated, underdogs, always fighting, coming up with some crazy music, and when you hear them, I don't know, I just feel motivated. I feel excited. I feel like my adrenaline pumping. You guys, you connect with the fans, and you write what's on your mind. When you came out with Coconut Dracula, did you know that was going to be just a smash?
Not at all. It was weird for us because like before the album came out, you know, it hit radio and it started hitting top 40 and stuff, and I was just mind blown because I remember being in the studio and we weren't even sure if we should name the song that, because we were like, I don't know if people are going to get it. Like, it's a story behind it. And that kind of freaked us out a little bit. And we were used to being like a really, really heavy band. And this was kind of our first venture into, we always had like choruses. Like, you can listen to our independent stuff before we ever got signed, and you can hear all of the catchy choruses and stuff. But this was the first time where we sat down and said, man, like, we wrote a song that the label believes can go to radio. And that was weird. And then after that song was a success, that's when we started noticing people coming in and basically saying, give us another one of those. And we're like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? We're just going to keep writing the songs that the best song we can, but suddenly it comes in, they're like, we need a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus. And we were like, well, we already like music that's catchy and that does that, what you're asking. But once you start trying to do that, it doesn't come across legit. It doesn't come across the same way. And that's why, again, I'm not trying to hate, man, but like I turn on the radio sometimes, and the songs sometimes that are on, it could be like one of any 10 bands. I don't even notice the difference in the sound. It's like, it sounds like it was like like I always joke around with my wife that I say I don't know what it is about, like if you turn on like Christian radio, you could just be like scanning through the radio and you won't even hear a lyric and you're like, how come this sounds Christian or whatever? And I'm just using that as an example.
I agree with that, yeah.
Because it's like all of a sudden you're like, do they run it through like a, hey, we got this Christian Pro Tools and once you run it through there, it's going to have this certain production. Well, it sounds that way. Like a lot of the bands, their production, it's like, how come this sounds like the same dude wrote this? You know, well, then lo and behold, we find out it's like the same 5 people in Hollywood writing everybody's songs. We're like, well, no wonder it all sounds the same. It's just these dudes in Hollywood.
Yeah, and that's why you guys have...
Dude, that's crazy. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and that's why when you listen to Islander, it's refreshing. You hear like a unique sound. You turned to Kickstarter this summer to help raise funds for your new album. Do you feel more excited to be not on a record label and you have that freedom and your fans are funding it?
Oh, yeah. First of all, we couldn't do this without our fans. I know that everybody says that it's, you know, everybody says that, but it's just the truth. I mean, whether a band actually believes that and loves their fans, or if they actually love their fans, it's always the truth that eventually the fans are the one that are going to keep you where you're at, because unless they're the ones loving you, then the label eventually is going to back out if they don't see people loving you. And thankfully, we didn't know how it was going to go. We were terrified to try to crowdfund a record. We were just like, I don't know if we're going to fall on our faces or what, but we had a documentary made right before it came out, like exclusively on notfest.com, and kind of promoting what we were about to do and telling people how we got to the point that we are. And that helped promote some of that, but our fans were so excited for us to be able to be fully us again, because like I said in the documentary, I don't know if you guys got to see it, but it's like we never gave up our integrity or our artistic visions and stuff like that, but we definitely felt like we were in a cage and we played the label game. Like we went and we sat with these producers and we heard their opinions. We tried some of their opinions. And at the end of the day, it just didn't sound like our band. And I think that the records that we did, like the last record we did, I'm proud of most of the songs on it, but at the same time, there's certain areas of the record where I'm just kind of like, man, like that wasn't our vision. That wasn't something that we believed in. And how could we ever let this happen to our baby Islander? Right. You know what I mean? So, we kind of had some, I don't want to say soul searching, 'cause it's not that deep, but we stepped back and, once we were off the label, we were like, let's not worry about the formula. Let's just go and write songs that are badass, and let's just let that speak for itself.
Speaking of that, yeah. So I look at that. It's not easy being human, right?
Yeah.
And I've got some people up here who I think are probably some of like my favorite rock stars. And then I look at the track list today, because I haven't listened to the album yet, so I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's about to be checked out. Dude, you've got let me Under Oath, Lacey Strum, P.O.D., Brian Headwelch, Fire from the Gods. Those are all people just featured on different songs on the album.
Yeah.
Dude,
Bad Brains,
that
Zayo,
is nuts, man.
Living Sacrifice. Dude, we threw everybody on the records. So how that came about was...
That's so cool.
Thank you. We were waiting forever to put our record out. And again, the label kept saying, wait, well, let's hold on. Let's wait for the right tour. And next thing you know, it had been like 5 years, and we were sitting there and we had all these songs, and then the pandemic hit and we were like not able to get together. So during that whole thing, we were like, well, let's just try to make some stuff fun for us. And the label said they had already spent all the budget, so we pulled out of our own pockets and paid for the rest of the record. And we called our friends and said, would you guest on this record? We're going to try to do kind of like the hip hop thing and just let our friends take part in this and make it kind of a party, since our whole plan was thrown out anyway. Why don't we just have some fun? So we just invited people on the record, and our friends were cool, and everybody just jumped in, and that's how the guest appearances happened on that album.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Up in the castle, evil mischief stirs.
Plan number 42. I shall turn myself into a cat. and get adopted by the butcher's daughter so I can learn all her secrets. Then, I will use them to make her fall in love with me. What do you think, Wilson?
Hey, check out 1v1 Me DM on all podcast platforms to see more of Dracula's perfect plans at finding true love.
That's rad, man. And I was gonna tell you, so this is gonna sound weird. I'm very snobby when it comes to people who scream and that kind of music. I don't know. I'm kind of one of those people. So it's like if they got a weird voice that they scream, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. So with you got the voice. I love it, dude. It's awesome. Dude, it's great. It reminds me a ton of like Glass Josh, that kind of style. But then it gets a little bit heavier.
We've gotten that comparison for years. And first of all, I want to say thank you, because I know that they're an amazing band, and it's kind of an honor to be compared to like Glassjaw, Deftones and stuff. But as far as Glassjaw, I never grew up like I couldn't name a song, I couldn't name a record, so it's really interesting. So I'm always kind of like every time I hear that comparison, I'm like, maybe I need to dive in, or maybe I shouldn't dive in. That way, it doesn't ever start making my brain feel weird or whatever, like I'm feeling like a ripoff or something. But I've never really listened to them, but I do. I've heard songs.
Kind of like that. Yeah, so I think they kind of have like those songs that got like a weird vibey to it. You guys do that too, where it's like, wait, this is not what they sound like, and then they go completely the opposite direction.
That's right.
So maybe that's why. I don't know, man. But for sure, Deftones. I could tell that's an influence, man. I mean, yeah, you guys are rocking it, man.
Blindside. I don't know if you guys have heard of Blindside, but they're one of our
influences.
Oh,
dude, that's one of my favorites.
We know Blindside. Nice.
Oh,
yeah, dude, you're rocking with all the same bands that we're rocking with. I would say one of my favorite Islander moments was when I was working at the rock station. I'd been there for like 20 years. We needed this band to open up for Rob Zombie, and you guys were hitting the ground running with Coconut Dracula. It was a smash on the radio at the time. And we turned to you, Islander. What was it like getting that call asking to open up for Rob Zombie?
That was insane, bro. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ron Platzer may have called me to let me know about that. He's our old radio guy, and he's always been really good to us. But I remember that was our first arena show. At that point, we had never played an arena. And so when we were walking on stage, I remember our legs were shaking. Like all four of us, our legs wouldn't stop shaking. And I remember literally during the first song, it took like half the song for my legs to stop shaking. And I felt like I was going to fall or something, because I had never seen that many people standing in front of us before. And it just kind of blew my mind. And then also it was intimidating because it was just us and Zombie. And it was like all of these people were sitting in the front row, or not sitting, but standing in the front row. And they all had like all his like horror movie shirts on and stuff. And it's like, I wanted to tell him, like, I know you guys are just waiting for Rob Zombie. Just bear with us for 35, 40 minutes. We're going to be out of here. Just like... And people were bobbing their heads, and we started there got to be a pit or whatever. But I remember they were a pretty hard crowd as far as, we were the new school kids, and you get up there screaming and kind of like rapping and stuff. And I don't think a lot of them they were just there to see Rob Zombie and dress up like monsters.
Well, I was there to see Islander. You guys killed that show. I got to see Coconut Dracula live for the first time, New Waves, Cold Speak, and you hit the gas on that. But I don't recall like a Roly Poly Pit.
No, we hadn't done that at the time. That whole thing, I don't even know how it started, bro. We were just playing a show, and I told everybody to lay on the ground. It wasn't even a thought. Like, we didn't even think much about it after the show. I remember we just thought, like, that was funny. And then it started going viral, and we were like, oh, no, we're going to be the band that's just known for people laying on the ground.
Yep. And then I was watching those TikToks. I'm like, man, you got control over the crowd. They're doing the Roly Poly Pit where you lie on the ground and you roll around. That's something. It's different. I had never seen that before.
I hadn't either, and I think that's why we started doing it, because it was really funny. We would get security guards to do it, like everything during that tour. I don't know, like it just happened. So I don't think it's something we're going to do every show by any means, but it's always in our back pocket.
Love it.
Next show in Omaha.
We'll do the Roly. We'll bring back the Roly Poly.
Let's do it, bro.
By the way, did you get a chance to meet Rob Zombie that night?
I did. We had catering with him, and we didn't talk to him at catering because I think we were all like a little intimidated. But after the show, I went up to him and said, "Hey, dude," I said, "I just want to say it was an honor to play with you tonight." And he shook my hand and like, he gave me like a side hug or whatever. And he was like, "Dude," he was like, "awesome meeting you." And we took a picture together. And that was my Rob
He's a
Zombie
little guy.
story. Yeah, we saw him in his
he's
wife.
really little.
He's real skinny.
Yep. I mean, when he comes on stage though, he just seems larger than life. He has that presence, and I didn't know he was such a good dancer. Like he's doing the splits on stage. He's just getting it all, man. And he gets into his zone. Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, dude. He's got charisma.
Yeah, he's just making love to everybody on that stage, and he's just getting it on. And and when you meet him in person, you're like, whoa, you're a little guy. Like your dreads are taller than you.
And he's kind of got that Charles Manson voice when you talk to him. I'm not saying that he's like Charles Manson, not at all. But I'm saying like you can tell.
Kind of looks like him too.
That you can just tell like that era influenced him as far as movies and stuff. That's all I mean.
Yeah. Well, I told him like when I had interviewed him, I told him I was like, "Yo, your face kind of scares me," and he's like, "What the is wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't know, man. They're just those vibes about him, Like you just when I think Rob Zombie and White Zombie, they're just like spooky Halloween vibes.
Yeah, I mean, it's all fun and it's a gimmick though. It's just like walking into Spirit Halloween. That's basically what a Rob Zombie show is to me.
Dude, there you go. That is so true. Oh my goodness,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you seem like a super real dude, man. I read this quote, and I think it was an interview you guys did a few years back, man. This is the kind of stuff I like to hear from people in the rock music thing, man. So it says, the guy wrote, they like having a good time. They'll express it however they feel that day, but that doesn't mean they follow the tragic rock formula, for drinking, drugs, ladies looking for more than a platonic concert going experience. Being transparent about these choices is just one of the ways they're setting the precedent for what it means to be a rock star today. Dude, I love that kind of stuff, man. It's
who
so
said
cool
that?
to see positive people. I think it was something like HM magazine or something you guys did.
Cool.
Interviewed you.
That's an honor. Yeah, I mean, all that's true. I mean, I'm a happily married man. There's been plenty of times where I've had opportunities to take advantage of girls because I think every rock and roller that's in a band and has toured with, the bands that are the big bands, I think that they probably come across those opportunities. And I say the same thing every single time. I say I'm a happily married man, and I'm all good in that area. And I've actually had somebody say one time, this was twice. Somebody said to two different people. I remember somebody said, "Well, I am too." And I said, "Well, how about I'm strongly convicted?" I said, "How about I'm strongly convicted? Like, I have convictions."
I'm sure it makes things easier with the wife going on the road, knowing that kind of stuff about you.
Yeah,
That's cool,
and she's welcome to come out anytime, and she's come on whole 2-month tours with us before. But I think that really you just have to decide who you're going to be and what you're going to do before you ever even leave your house, and that goes for people not on tour or in a band or in the entertainment industry. I think it's just for every individual. If you haven't already decided, before you go to your job that day, like what kind of person you're going to be, then you're destined to fail. But for us, we're not on tour to do drugs and party and meet all these women or anything. We're literally out there because we want to spread love, and we just use this band as a vehicle to love people and tell each other that you're not alone in this world, and we might not understand or relate to exactly what every single person's going through, but we can relate that we all have our own struggles and we're all going through something. And that's where we try to meet people with this band. We just want people to feel like they belong in this world.
Yeah, that's 100%, man. Like what you were saying right there reminds me of one of my favorite songs, What Do You Gotta Lose? What Do You Gotta Lose, hands down, is one of the most motivational songs. If I'm feeling down and I need some inspiration, I'm turning on What Do You Gotta Lose.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's the reason we wrote it. And I'm grateful that our music is an encouragement to people rather than, there's a moment. I think that there's a moment to mourn, and I believe we should mourn with the mourners and have joy with people that have joy, and celebrate those things, and any of that. But I think that at the same time, people can tell if all you're doing is complaining, or you don't have a solution, or there's a lot of whiny rock and roll in the world, and we don't ever want to be the whiners. We want to be the ones that can sing about our complaints, but still have hope that it's going to be okay.
Hey, man, this is stupid of me. I got to go back like 4 questions ago. I compared you to Glassjaw, but my whole thing about the screaming thing was, I was going to say, who's like your top 3 screamers, man? Is Blindside one of them?
Definitely. I mean, I'll say the ones that influenced me the most, and I love Blindside with all my heart, but I would say there's a band called Zayo. They actually, the singer guest on the It's Not Easy Being Human album. He's on the song with Bruce from Living Sacrifice and Head from Korn.
Nice.
Head plays guitar on that song, but the other 2 guys are doing guest vocals with me. It's kind of like I said, it's everybody like a party, But
it's like a
Dan
rap album.
Zayo,
You're right, dude. That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah. So Dan from Zayo is one of my top favorite vocalists as far as screaming. There's a guy named Josh Scoggin. He started the band Norma Jean, then he joined a band called The Chariot, and now he's in a band called 68. But that's my one of my biggest influences. And then I think the other is more of just like a vibe, like Sonny from P.O.D, Chino from Deftones, HR from Bad Brains, Christian from Blindside. Like those are kind of like the things that I was drawing near to. Like I always loved the bands that didn't make the show about the band. They made the show about all the people in the room getting all their emotions out. And I felt like those bands did that.
How did you connect with Sonny?
That's a crazy story. I'll give you the real quick version. My brother used to go to their shows back in the mid 90s, like 96, 97. And I was just a little kid, and I would ride in the car with my mom to go pick up my brother from these shows. And we would just, I don't know, P.O.D was just something my brother listened to, and then he like drugged me to a show when I turned 13. I was sitting in the dining room playing with my wrestling action figures, which I still have tons of. But I went to the show, and I guess there was just something about the angst of the show, seeing people like do flips off the stage in this small club in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And the crowd was just going nuts, and I fell in love with music that night. And that's the first time I met Sonny, but I just started like going to their shows and stuff. He would remember me, like just, waiting out back by the buses, wanting to get a picture made with him or whatever. And then years later, he just gave me his number, and we stayed in contact. And then I started playing music, and we asked him if he would guest on a song, and he was like, "Yeah, dude." And then they took us on tour like 4 times. One of the coolest dudes in this industry. I'll just say that.
Man, they put on a good live show too.
Yeah, I mean, P.O.D with Islander, what a vibe, what a connection, and how cool is that? Like that was your first show, and then he brings you out on tour. I mean, and he's probably just showing you the ropes and showing you the right way to do things versus the wrong way.
Yeah, well, my first show, that was the first show that I fell in love with music. The first show I ever went to, I was in 5th grade, and I was scared to death. And that was 90 Pound Wuss and MXPX. They're 2 punk bands. And
MX, you didn't fall in love with music after MXPX?
I was in the 5th grade, bro.
It was
a different time period. There weren't cell phones to be connected to all this. Like my brother said, "Hey, we're going to a show at this church." We go to the show at this church, and literally the whole room turns into a pit. MXPX is right there in the middle of promoting Life in General. So, like, the crowd was going nuts. I was in 5th grade. I was just ready to go home and play Power Rangers, dude. I was not, like... I was not thinking like that.
I don't know if we grew up in a similar homes, man, but we might have, man, hearing your story. So I grew up in a super religious household. And so,
really?
like... I wasn't allowed to listen to any secular music, man. Like, and so I think the first taste of punk I got was MXPX, dude.
Nice, dude. They're still my favorite punk band.
Yeah, my mom was like, "Yeah, you can listen to this," and I was like, "Oh, sweet." But yeah, dude, MX. And then I went and saw them on Warped Tour when I was like 14 or something. I was
Yeah.
like, this is not a Christian concert.
Yeah, I mean, I was always allowed to listen to whatever, as far as like, different types of bands. But during that time period in the mid '90s, I feel like this is no joke. I feel like that scene may have had the more crazy punk bands in the underground than people like want to give it credit for. Like when I think about that scene at that time, like it was really kind of dangerous. Like the music was like actually like something different, and I feel like a lot of them didn't get love because they were on these Christian rock labels or whatever, and they didn't get the same airplay or whatever it was, the opportunities. So there's plenty of those bands I love just as much, if not more, than secular. But I don't look at music like secular or Christian or what. I always tell people
I had
like,
to, man. It's in my head.
the way I see it, the way I've always explained it to people, especially with Islander, because I do believe in Jesus Christ, but not everybody in our band does. And people look at me because I write lyrics and just have a worldview that's, the word Christian, but the word Christian means so many different things to so many different people. I don't want to confuse people about them automatically thinking maybe that connect to some form of Christianity that hurt them or what. I don't want that to be the case, but the way I always tell people is Islander's like Italian restaurant. Like, do you go to a restaurant and say, hey, I want some Christian spaghetti, or do you just want some good spaghetti? I would rather have the good spaghetti than have the spaghetti made just because it's made by a Christian. So that's the way I always saw music. I'm like, I just want the good art. I'm not looking for the band that believes whatever. I just want the bands that are amazing.
Yeah. And that's what we'll get off this after this, but that's one, I think people say that a lot, dude. You're right. So like, like Under Oath or Blindside or anything. Everyone's like, dude, do you know they were a Christian band? Like, it's a handicap almost. Like, what's that got to do with it, man? Like, I think a lot of people are guilty of doing that. It's just, sure.
Like
and
we don't.
I think people are just shocked that they can make good music. I don't know.
Yeah, like Beastie Boys aren't sitting in some Buddhist rap section at the store, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Right.
I'm like, when did Jesus ever tell us to go and put him in a plastic container and put it on a shelf? That's not right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, you are a wrestling fan, and how on earth did you get Sting to star in one of your music videos?
Well, he's one of my best friends now, which is crazy to even say. I love that dude. We were on tour with Papa Roach. Long story short, but we were on tour with Papa Roach and Seether back in 2015, and we were sitting in like I think it was our bus driver's hotel room one day, and we were like taking showers in there or something, because that was the only tour we were on a bus. And I just want to tell everybody, we shared it with another band, so we were all having to split costs. So I don't want anybody to think that, oh, Islanders said they're not on a bus. We went on a bus for 30 days, and from then on out, it's always been the van. So anyways, I hope to get back in a bus.
Yeah, right.
I'm not complaining about that. But anyways, we were sitting there in a hotel room somewhere, and I was bored, and I'm a huge Sting fan, and I thought, hey, I'll do the old nerdy thing and see if anybody still does this, but I'm going to message his manager and see if I can get like an autograph sent to me, kind of like they did, like, you used to hear about celebrities doing that kind of stuff. And so I messaged his manager.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, what is this about? Like, what do you want him to do? And I said, I just love Sting. I was like, he's always kind of inspired me. We have a lot of the same views in the world. And I think he's just amazing. I've always just like loved him since I was a little kid. I said, it'd be cool if he could even like hold up a picture of me and like you take a picture of him, if that were even possible. And then his manager called me. He's like, what's your number? And he called me and he said, hey dude, so I looked up your band or whatever, but he said, are you going to be in Dallas, Texas anytime soon? I said, we are literally going to be there in 2 days. He said, well, how about I just ask Sting to come to your show? And so he brought Sting. He brought Sting to our show, and we sat in our green room. Sting brought me some of his ring gear, his in-ring gear. He brought me like some autographed DVDs and T-shirts and stuff, and he gave me his phone number and just said, keep in contact. And we prayed together that night about several different things, because again, that was one of the things we had most in common. And from that moment forward, we have just stayed in contact. And we wanted him in a music video, so I messaged him and asked him if he would do it. He didn't charge us anything. He drove his own truck up to Dallas from his house. He lives like 40 minutes out of Dallas.
Super cool.
So he drove like 40 minutes from his house to this Airbnb we rented to shoot the video in, and he painted himself up and everything. Spent the whole day with us, just hanging out, and we ate together, and then he drove home in all his Sting gear, and it was amazing.
I mean, what a dream come true. Like, that is legendary stuff, and now you're best friends with him? Like, you talk to him every day, or, like, once a week you check in?
Not every day. Usually I try to text him, like, every other week, or he'll call me or ask me advice about his character sometimes, like, stuff that he might think that'll look cool, like, if he does, I guess, because I always tell him I'm a friend of Steve, but I'm a fan of Sting, because his name's Steve. And, sometimes if he gets like hurt in the ring or whatever, I'll text him afterwards and be like, that looked painful, and he'll be like, I'm okay, or he'll tell me I'm back here getting stitches or whatever. So yeah, dude.
Have you ever tried to wrestle him?
We did say he's put me in the Scorpion Deathlock before. He put me in the Scorpion Deathlock at IHOP. Is that, listen, I'm gonna say this. What? I don't have a cooler sentence to say for this whole podcast or in my life. Anytime somebody's like, what's the coolest thing you've ever done? I'm like, Sting put me in the Scorpion Deathlock at IHOP. That's a true story. We know what the
caption's going to be for his podcast now. There's his caption right there.
Yep.
He also, we were hanging out at the mall one day, and he didn't drop me, but he pulled my neck back and put me in the Scorpion Death drop. And then, he taught me how to do a lockup, like how to lock up or whatever. So he taught me how to do that one day, and I have that on tape. And yeah, it's awesome.
Like, dude, that's magical stuff. That's like dream come true right there. Like, I grew up, watching WWF and then WWE, and then, seeing Sting come out with the makeup on and the black leather coat. Like, that just gives me chills. And to actually talk to somebody who's been close to Sting and friends with Sting, that's wild. And getting put in the finishing move at the IHOP, dude, that's so tight.
Yeah, and dude, I'll tell you this. I have something. Let me get it real quick.
Oh, what's
okay.
That?
This is one of the coolest things I own. Like, if somebody said, what is the coolest Sting memorabilia you own? This is what I would show them. Okay, you remember his first championship win over Ric Flair at the Bash at the Beach? I'm not Bash at the Beach, Great American Bash.
Okay, yeah, let's see.
I have the original artwork that was created for the like literally for the poster for the VHS and the T-shirts for that event.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh my goodness, dude, that is so tight, dude.
Yeah.
Look at the makeup on him too. He's got the red face with the white and the stripes or in the stars.
Yeah,
wow,
and like man. This was the reason it's got all the red right there was because like you see Ric Flair there too. Oh, yeah. Was because it was just showing them, like, if you could read on here, it tells what overlay should be which color. So it's just kind of like this is crazy. I don't even know what this is worth. I just have it.
And you're not. Are you trying to sell it? All right.
No, that's the only thing. I won't sell that. I won't sell that.
No, you can't sell that. People are gonna be like listening to the podcast, like, release the video.
Yeah, people are gonna be like, how much? They're gonna hear this and they're gonna say, all right, you want some funding for your band? You got that? You gonna pony up? But I would, just like you, I would never. If like Sting gave that to me, that stuff is.
No. Well, no, he didn't give this to me. I found the artist that was that did all this stuff. He was selling it one day on Facebook Marketplace, and I got like a really crazy deal on it. And here's the one where this is him in the Great Muta. This is for a pay-per-view called Future Shock, but that's another one of the art prints that they use to make the posters and T-shirts for that one. I have some other ones too, like Road Warriors, all kind of stuff.
Oh man, you're talking my language now, dude. I love that old school WWF. That's sweet, dude.
Bro, we ain't gonna take too much more of your time, man. We gotta go back to Serpents and Daggers. Serpents and Daggers, man. First of all, like we said at the beginning, that song is just an absolute banger, dude. I love when the intro is like that, and then it just hits, dude, like a ton of bricks. But
Thank you so much.
the music video, dude, that music video is nasty.
Dude, thank you. Dude, that means more than anything for me personally, because I'm still new at shooting music videos. So, like, I directed, shot, and edited that whole video, and I'm just grateful.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I direct. We're do everything.
Dude, that's so much cooler now.
Oh
yeah, no.
So everything in house. So you direct yourself, like on what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, like literally, I set the camera up and just film us, and then I walk in front of it like that. When the video comes on, when you see me walk out, that's me. I had just turned the camera on.
No way, dude.
Yeah, like we literally do everything in house now, and we don't have a lot of money, so we took $900 and we paid this local studio, that big white room that was in the video.
Right.
We paid them to let us rent it out for 8 hours. So we shot 3 music videos in that room in the span of 8 hours, and we kept having to try to make the room look different, and like, so we kept having to like change clothes and do all kind of stuff. But we shot 3 music videos in the span of 8 hours, and then the next morning we shot a 4th one in my brother's basement.
How hard was it switching from director mode to music?
No, I mean, I think that we've been doing stuff ourselves for so long in this band that we don't even like. Honestly, we would prefer that. Like when other people come in and start trying to touch stuff, we start feeling like we're no longer artists.
Yeah, I get that feeling from you now.
Yeah,
everything's got to be done by Islander. I'm cool with that. It's dope.
You know what I appreciate about Mikey is like, man, I wish I had an ounce of your talent. You can sing, you can write, you can perform, you can entertain, you can spread love in a positive way, you can connect with so many different artists and people, and you direct your own stuff. Like, you just have such a vision. And now I understand like why, you know, creative differences happen, like in bands break up and stuff, or like, oh, when they're on a record label and they're like, just, you know, it's the worst thing because somebody's telling me to do this way. But you are so passionate about what you do, and you have a vision, and you collab with the people that you want to collab with, and that's what makes you exciting, because you stick to it and you stand by what you believe in, and I respect that so much. Or do you have, you said you shot 4 music videos, so are you close to completing this album?
We are close to completing the album. We have, I think, 4 more songs to track. I think 2 more vocally. Like when I say track, I mean like, actually, I think we have maybe 2 more songs to track and 3 that are in. I can't remember, but some of them are still in the mix master phase, and then there's, I think, 2 of them that I have not tracked vocals to yet. But we're kind of in the end process there. Used to, we would finish a record like at one point, and then the whole thing would get mixed and mastered together. But the way things are now, we can just release singles up until, you know, the physical release comes out, and there's no label. Again, there's nobody to tell us we can't put something out. So we can just, like, I can wake up tomorrow morning and call the guys and be like, "Do y'all want to put that new song out tonight?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." Like,
that's
it's
so
awesome.
sick. Yeah, that's
Dude.
sick. Do you have like a date in mind of when you want to drop the new album?
No. I wish I could drop it next week, but I think realistically, and this is me pushing it back farther than I would want to, I would say spring of 2024, just like kind of beginning of the year.
Yeah.
That way we can just go ahead and plan just
so
the rest of the year
depressed
to
right
tour.
now.
Yeah.
So depressed right now.
You
thought
want
he was
more?
gonna
Yeah,
say, like,
I know.
fall.
I know. That's like, you got Serpents and Daggers. We're still in summer. He's saying spring 2024, and man, we just got a taste of that new album with that first song. So you know this album is going to be fire.
Well, you know, we're right here. I'm saying spring 2024, but the way things are, and again, being independent, we can do this. We're just gonna probably release like a single every month.
Okay.
We have
that's
friends.
cool, man.
We have friends. So people are still gonna get taste of the record. They're not gonna have to like be starving the whole time waiting for it. But we have friends at radio stations that, even though they're not getting paid off anymore by labels or whatever, they're still loving us and they're still showing us love, and we're just
That's
grateful,
cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
We just think it's amazing that there are people that really love music. There's people that really care, and it's not all. I don't want to sit here and have y'all think like, man, that kid really got burnt by gatekeepers or whatever. It's not like that. I've seen some of my favorite bands that happened to them too, or bands that should have been bigger than they are, or whatever. And I just feel like every band, like now that we're independent, I'm like, why isn't every band independent? Like even the biggest band in the world, I'm like, yeah, get a manager to take care of day to day. Have your business manager, have your manager, have your publicist, but it's so fun just being like, y'all want to put some music out? Like it's back to those kids in the basement saying, this is fun. Yeah. And for a lot of our years, for the past however many years, I think that we were trying to tell ourselves that we were having fun still. You know, we're like, oh man, well, this is cool. We're on tour with Korn. This is cool. We're on tour with Baby Metal or whatever. That's awesome. That's fun. But behind the scenes, you know, we were having these whole things where we were like, man, I really wish we could put a record out this year, but we're not allowed to. Yeah. So now it's just fun again. Now it's like, I feel like me and my friends are getting to eat pizza and write songs again. And maybe they won't be the biggest songs in the world. They don't have to be. I love what I'm doing again.
Yeah, dude, this is like deja vu almost of us talking to Adrian Patrick, dude. So from Otherwise, I mean, he's still signed to a label, dude. And he was like our first guest podcast. Yeah. And he was just going off. Yeah. Pretty much what you're saying. And that's what, like, you know, a lot of local people are like, I can't wait to get to a label. I can't wait to get to a label. And then you get there and you're like, dude, what were we thinking? Like, some people, I guess I've heard a lot of people getting burned by like that. Yeah.
No, we're friends with those cats too, by the way, the Otherwise guys. We've toured with them several times. We took them on tour like 2 years ago. Yeah. But we just feel like there are things that we're very grateful for. Like I wouldn't do it differently as far as like signing to certain things, because those were stepping stones that I feel like people did find our band because we got to get in front of bigger audiences or whatever. But I would tell myself, like, make sure that the contract says this or make sure the contract says that. Cause there may come a day where Islander signs with some label, but again, it would have to be a good record deal. It couldn't be another one of these, hey, let's see what they can do for us. Like Islander, we have our fan base. We love what we do again. Why would we want to mess that up? So there were so many years where we didn't even own our merch rights, and now we own our merch rights again. And like little stuff like that goes a long way.
Like A Day to Remember, I remember that happening too. And I'm not going to speak anymore on that.
Yeah, we were on the same label.
Okay, well, you said it. I knew what label you were on. I just wasn't going to say it. But I remember when that happened to them.
Well, it doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter anymore. They sold the company.
Oh, they did. Is Victory not around anymore?
No, they're not around anymore. Like they're owned by Concord. They're owned by a company called Concord, who has been really good to us. Even going back and finding royalties that weren't paid out to us. But there were people even at Victory Records that really cared about us and really loved music and what we were doing. So when we say label, I don't mean this whole group under a certain roof. It's just maybe the main powers that be can sometimes stand in the way of even those people helping the way that they know how to. But no, they sold their company when we got released from Victory Records. We had been begging them. We were on our way home. We had just finished a tour with Korn, Stone Sour, Baby Metal, and Yellow Wolf. And we were driving home from tour. Wow. And that whole last week, we had just been fussing with Victory, and they were like disagreeing about when we should have a record and whatever. And at that point, it just wasn't going to go anywhere. So we were like, how about this? We leave. We don't say anything. And so they said, cool, here's a contract. If you ever say anything disparaging, you owe us $25,000. So, and that was anything in the media that was disparaging. And now that the company's gone, it doesn't matter anymore. But again, I'm not even going to sit and say, I don't have anything disparaging to say about the people that were helping us out or you know, working with us on stuff. Our publicist was amazing. Our radio guy I still talk to him to this day. He's not even a radio guy, and he still texts me and tells me he loves our music anytime we put out a new song. Yeah, things worked out.
Yeah, it kind of just led you to the path where you are now, and like it sounds like you have a newfound freedom, and you can be you again, like you said, like just writing music, eating pizza, having a good time, and going back to the basics. Do you have any special guests coming on this new album?
Good question.
So I'm scared to say it, and then people get like their hopes up, and then it not happen because it hasn't happened yet. So then if it doesn't, people would be like, either he was lying or what. And it's like, guys, why would I lie? Like, we've already had all these other people on our songs. Like, does it really whatever? But no,
let's say hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I did literally text Corey Taylor a few days ago and ask him to jump on a track, and he said he would do it. So,
whoa, dude.
Yeah.
That's big time, dude.
Yeah. We'll see
Up
what
in the
happens.
level,
I mean,
dang.
again, there's
yeah. I mean, hypothetically, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but
yeah, I mean, I remember texting David Taylor. I was like, hypothetically, if we got Mikey of Islander on the podcast, what would you say?
Dude.
I was like, watch what happens. We're gonna see.
Watch, he's gonna
throw
forget
it out
all
there.
about the interview. Go eat Chinese food with his wife.
Dang, we weren't gonna throw you under the bus.
No, dude, I'll tell everybody. I forgot about this interview. I felt so bad about it. For everybody listening, I was sitting at a Chinese restaurant with my wife tonight. It was to celebrate her getting through her first week of work back. She's a school teacher. And so she got through her first week, and we celebrated by trying a Chinese restaurant we've never eaten at in our town, because we were like, let's go try something different. And it was amazing. It was really, really good, actually. And y'all texted me right when my drink came. So I'm sitting there drinking water. I got a text, and I looked up at my wife, and I said, oh, no. And I showed her the text, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be on an interview, and I totally did not set an alarm. I didn't put it in my calendar. Why? Like I messed. That was all my fault. Everybody.
We appreciate you coming back.
No, you're good. You made it here. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're grateful. We have learned so much from you and some of the trials and tribulations that you have been through, because everybody thinks being a rock star is the easiest job in the world, right? You just get up on stage, you sing music, and everybody loves you.
I know what you mean, but I always tell people I could never take the term rock star ever. Like I'll never be that. I'll never be that guy. The best way I can put it, and this is something we always say, anytime we start seeing an up-and-coming band, or any band in general, start believing their own hype, they're dorks, dude. Once they start believing that they're cool and that they deserve something better than other people because they say, like, oh, we're not sitting in our mom's basement, or it's like, who are you trying to prove it to, man? Like, just do you. And the haters, you want those. You got to have haters to have people that love you. That's how I see it. But yeah, anybody, any guy in a band, girl in a band, whoever, if you start thinking, I guess I am a rock star, get over yourself. Your laminate stops working every time a tour ends, so.
Oof. That's right. Yeah, that's fair, man. That's so true.
Dude, straight up, man. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you, man. For real. Absolute pleasure, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't sleep on Islander. I didn't know a ton about you till he introduced me to you guys, man. And now I'm mad I haven't known it. Like, listen to it. It's very, very good, man.
Dude,
I will continue to listen and support, man, and we'll promote as much as we can on the podcast for you guys, man. You guys rock, man.
Thank you guys so much. And seriously, thank you for having me, and just thank you for what you guys are doing. This right here, what we're doing, what you guys have set up, this is what keeps music going. It's this kind of stuff, where people can hear people's passion and love for something come through. Because sometimes I think that to love something, maybe sometimes you got to see other people love it, and I can see that you guys love what you do. So thank you guys for having me.
Dang, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad, I had you on back at the Rock Station back in 2014, had you on, and it was, we did it over the phone, and to see you face to face, man, it's an absolute thrill. I'm so excited for this new album, and when you guys come through Omaha, let's link up. Bro. Let's sell this place out. Let's go big.
Guest vocals, both of you guys.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I'm down.
Okay, maybe I'll introduce.
Okay,
I'm not
that sounds
David's
good.
a singer. I'll
Just
introduce.
screaming and hip hop, man. That's what I do.
Nice. Send me your stuff, bro.
That's a weird way to end the podcast, man. That's a weird way to end. Oh, DT's backyard. We can do it there, Spicoli.
That's right. We're going to DT's backyard. He has the biggest backyard. He has so much money to blow. The hugest backyard. I mean, if you guys can get in like a scream off, that would be
Let's
so
do it,
sick.
bro. I'm down.
I'll host it. Let's
I
go.
had to plug my backyard. Oh, dude. All right, bro. Hey, man. Thanks for coming on, man. We'll catch you when you come through.
Till the midnight hour.